Hello and welcome to The Well. I'm your host, Dr. Brendan Arm, doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine, Chinese medicine herbalist, and founder-director of Lotus Integrative Medicine in Santa Monica, California. There's a wealth of health-related information out there, and I'm joined today by this wonderful group of integrative and holistic medical doctors and practitioners to share some of our favorite wellness tips. Please let me introduce you to Bianca Rodriguez, a holistic psychotherapist, Dr. Heath McAllister, a naturopathic doctor and registered herbalist, Leona West, a clinical nutritionist and herbalist, also trained and certified in functional medicine, and Dr. Rob Krochmal, a medical doctor and a practicing physician who is board certified in family medicine, nutrition, and integrative and holistic medicine. So let's begin. Today's topic is stress management. So I'm going to start with this one because I seem to talk about this a lot with my patients. In fact, I was just talking to a patient about it within the last hour. I find that I work with a variety of different patients, all of which have different external stressors going on. Some of them may be high-powered, a lot of responsibility professionals, that may be running large companies with, large assets and, large amount of employees. And have to make very detailed decision makings and stuff like this. And they may work many, many hours doing that, and or may have large, responsibilities with families and friends and all types of other things that may be influencing their, adding to external stressors. But somehow they've cultivated this inner practice to help manage stress. So they are appear, and even when I get to know them quite well, they're actually pretty cool cucumbers. I even look at their tongue and pulse, and the tongue and pulse doesn't lie. It's like, it's not wiry, it's not tight. They don't seem to have a lot of pathogens or a lot of health concerns that are related to stress and tension. So somehow they've figured out some way to kind of be still amidst the storm. And I don't, for each of us has a different way. And I think it is all about finding a unique way that works for you. Some may get up real early and, get maybe their big thing done first thing in the morning. Like Mark Twain says, it's best to eat a frog first thing in the morning. That way, you've done the most difficult or the worst thing. Nothing worse can happen, throughout the day. Meaning like get a big task done first thing in the morning, and then you get the sense of accomplishment, and then you can kind of, already feel like the day's off to a good start, and you're doing pretty well. Some of them may do that, or they may go for a good run first thing in the morning, or they may have a strong yoga practice first thing in the morning, or other exercises throughout the day, or mental things, or breaks throughout the day, or gifts that they give themselves throughout the day, like a nice matcha green tea latte or something like this, something to kind of help bathe their nervous system so that they can perform on such a level. Now, other people that I work with, they don't seem to have so many stressors on them. Maybe they don't work, and they're good with that. It's not like they're not working, and then they're really stressed because they're not working. Maybe they're independently wealthy and they don't need to work, or don't want to work. And maybe they don't have the family stressors. Maybe they're not a part of, they have children or a partner, and they're very, content, and that's the way they want to be. So they're not stressed because they don't have these other things, but they don't seem to have a lot of responsibilities, kind of pressuring them throughout the day from their account. But then when you look at their tongue and pulse and we talk to them, they're just so stressed out. And I would say to them, it's a bit of the opposite. Perhaps they don't have practices that they do throughout the day to manage seemingly little stressors. So I think it is about putting together a unique practice or several practices throughout the day to manage your inner environment, because you can't always control the exterior environment. That's my thoughts. Take it away, guys.
All right, I'm jumping in. This is my area of, we're all experts in this because this is the mind, body, spirit connection we're talking about. But as a psychotherapist, I look at somebody's internal world, as you were saying, because I believe that our external world is a projection of our internal world. So it almost doesn't, like, right, what's going on externally, the goal is that we're able to cope with whatever's going on externally because we have the resources, we've cultivated the resources within to manage all different types of stress, because stress is just a natural part of life. Stress is not inherently bad. We are made to be resilient and to deal with stress. But what I talk about with clients a lot is what I call the window of tolerance. And so somebody's window of tolerance to manage discomfort, stress, um, worry, anxiety, all of the things. And a lot of the time, what we find is that people that are struggling with, mental health stuff like generalized anxiety disorder, or maybe they have a history of trauma, the way that they developed in their childhood, or if maybe you experienced a trauma as an adult, is it kind of rocks that foundation that you have about sort of how you see the world, how you interact with the world, and your nervous system and your cognitive ability, your emotional ability to deal with stressors. So I think a thing we need to look at is, yes, it's good to sort of identify what are the things going on in somebody's outside world that might be contributing to stress, but also how capable do they feel and how successful are they at just managing their emotions, including stress, on a regular basis. So that's my 2 cents.
What are some of your thoughts on like how to build that tolerance? What are some of the techniques that you recommend?
Oh my gosh, so many. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is we have to learn to identify what we're feeling. A lot of people don't actually know how to do that, and that's the very first step. And I would imagine with you guys, on the physical health side, I'm sure people come to you because their emotions have manifested in something physical, and they may not even know, right, that they have grief, or that they have, deep sadness, or that they're incredibly worried about something. So the first thing is to help people identify what they're feeling. And I always have to teach people that your thoughts don't happen here. Your thoughts are physiological sensations that occur within your body. So, when somebody's feeling anxious, maybe their palms sweat, or their heart starts, their heart rate increases. So the first thing is becoming aware of, what am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? When do I feel it? What types of situations trigger these types of feelings in me? And then learning how to turn the dial down on those feelings. And some of the ways that we do that is breathing techniques, cognitive restructuring, which is basically like, there's usually a thought attached to a feeling. So maybe you walk into a situation, you're giving a presentation, you're like, I can't handle this, I'm going to screw this up, right? It's like, well, those thoughts are contributing to those stressful feelings. It's making it worse. So can we choose some different thoughts? Like, I've done this before. However this goes, I'm going to be okay. I can handle it, right? So also identifying what are the thoughts connected to the feelings, right? And then exercise, folks, if you're dealing with mental health stuff, it's like not an option. I got schooled by my clinician that was like, you got mental health disorder, lady. You have to exercise. It is not like maybe not. It's like you have to do that. It lowers your entire baseline, I feel. So exercise. And then you guys know I'm all about that spirit, that soul, that spiritual life. And so finding a way to connect to something that is greater than you. I also think getting out of self is important, whether we're being of service to children, to family members, to, I don't know, donating our time, our money to something. So many ways. Meditation is key so that you can start identifying those thoughts and not enmeshing yourself with them and becoming the thought. So I know I talked for like an hour, so I'll let you guys jump in. I said a lot of things.
What you're
I
sharing.
think that noticing is the key. And when you mention meditation, I have so many patients who say, I can't meditate. I can't do it. And I think, it can take years to just figure out the first step of meditation, but it's so profound is that it's not about shutting your thoughts off. It simply is just about noticing and that practice of noticing. And that's what takes you out of those thoughts and into your higher self. So I always try to encourage patients to do that. And at the same time, I let my patients know if there's a physiological reason for how you're feeling, we're going to find it. Fortunately, as an integrative doctor, they're able to trust me. And I've when we get to a point with some patients where I say, physiologically, you're doing fine. You know, they're like, well, if I heard this from another doctor, I wouldn't accept it. But, you know, coming from you, it's okay. And now I can accept it and know that this is really my work that I need to do.
So are you saying that you do all of the kind of like research and delving in with them about, let's look at your physiology, and if we've now done all the things we can do to help prop up your well-being and there's still stuff going on, you're like, you might need to do some emotional work with like a therapist. Is that what you're saying?
And it feels a lot better than, you know, if they've had a 5 or 10 minute visit with a doctor and kind of blew off all their concerns and say, well, this is just psychological and go deal with it. So,
Absolutely, that feels dismissive. Yeah.
Yeah, like a partner in your healthcare, you know, partner to, you know, so that they can maybe put at ease some of their physiological health concerns, because they know they can trust you, you know, that what you're saying in your work is, you know, comprehensive, and they can have one less, you know, anxieties, and then they can move from there. I love what you guys are talking about and talk in terms of that. I think the selfless service component is so important, you know, being connected to doing something to help others. Sorry. You know, and meditation and exercise. I love those concepts.
I would say yes, meditation, exercise, breath work, amazing, you know, breath of fire to just like blow out this stuck pattern that you might be in. I mean, there's so many different breathing techniques that I think are, you know, tie into the autonomic nervous system, which is your fight or flight or your rest and digest. And we exist so much in that fight or flight that we're not really, you know, our growth and maintenance is neglected. I would also say that I think a big part of being stressed is feeling helpless or scared. And I think that comes from a fundamental feeling of disconnection. And that disconnection, oftentimes it can be from insecure attachment as a child growing up, or not feeling connected now to a sense of community. That if you feel like you have backup, like if I'm in a situation where, like, you know, when I was growing up and I had my parents around me, like, you know, shit could happen. And my parents were there as backup. You know, they didn't solve my problems, but I had someone there who cared about me, who would step in and support me. And if you don't feel that in your life, that's a big deal. That means it all rests on your shoulders, and you're constantly having to be vigilant. Whereas if, you know, in a collectivist societies, you know, you're part of a larger moving mass of people, and, like, you know, everyone's kind of stepping in at different times, and, you know, it takes a village to raise a child, all that kind of stuff. Like, we're in an individualist society where we're kind of like, I'm going to do it myself. And, you know, it's all on me. And, like, that's empowering and terrifying simultaneously. So I think we actually need other people. I need other people. We all need to feel that sense of connectedness, and to check ourselves, and to check our thoughts, and to check our actions, and to ask for help when needed. And I think that's something we really struggle with, is asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would just say that on the other side of things, sometimes when someone doesn't have immediate external stresses, sometimes, you know, there certainly can be those psychological, even genetic. There's, you know, some genes that we call it the worrier-warrior gene. You know, some people are more predisposed in that way. But sometimes when there is no obvious external stressor and there is a lot of internal stress, sometimes we do want to look at blood sugar, hormones, gut. There can be physiological drivers that are creating this internal experience. And so that's, you know, part of our role as, you know, integrative and holistic practitioners, is to also follow those lines. Like you said, Dr. Rob, you know, you want to look there, help them with those in that path, to first, you know, pull those things away and see if anything else needs to be addressed that could be at least partially a source of that.
I would say the number one thing I'm getting at is, like, be curious, you know, be curious about what it is that you're feeling, be curious about what are the different things that could be, you know, contributing to it. And we've all sort of become, you know, we're all meant to be our own advocates. So, you know, finding practitioners that you feel like you can talk to and you can research and investigate these things. You know, don't do it alone. There's a lot of stuff on Google. You can make yourself even more stressed out with that. Yeah, is the way to go.
Great. Well, that's all the time we have today. If you have a topic you'd like to learn more about, let us know with a comment on social media. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our The Well YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us, and please join us, excuse me, please join us next time. For more wellness tips, remember, regardless of where we are, our resources in the well are limitless.